Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with one of our very own Sales Maven Society members. It is Sam Holmes. Sam, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited you said yes. I feel like you took a risk by saying yes because I think you signed up for an on-air coaching call probably within your first, was it week?
Yep.
Of being in the Sales Maven Society?
Yeah. You said some coaching. I thought, well, this is a brave opportunity. I'll just jump right in.
And you said before we started recording that you and your accountability partner do something where you have to do something brave each day. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So one of my teammates who's going through the coaching and certification process with me, her name is Trista. And she talks about doing one brave thing every day. And I thought, okay, Trista, here we go. I'm signing up for this.
You are a brave soul. Now, it's been a few weeks that you've been on the schedule. So I know you've been in the Sales Maven Society for a few weeks now. But I just was so honored that you're like, oh, I'll take this chance. I'll do an on-air coaching call with Nikki. So congratulations. And thank you, Trista, for encouraging Sam to be brave, because I love that. And I think it will continue to support you and serve you in your business. So now let the audience hear a little bit more about you. Tell us about you and your business and who you serve.
Yeah, so my business is called Authentic Insights. So I am in the process of becoming a certified trainer, certified coach, and that process is almost complete. So that's one of the things I want to talk to you about is how to extend those offers since I'm going to be a newly certified coach. But yeah, a coach with a training background. So I've been in corporate training for about 12 years now. And I'm really passionate about helping like high-performing women who potentially just feel like something is missing. I remember being in that same spot 2 to 5 years ago. Really passionate about personal development, but I kind of hit a plateau on my own with, you can only do so many assessments or read so many books before you really need someone to help you find like those blind spots so that you can really excel.
So that's what you're doing now. You're working with executive women, helping them kind of unleash kind of what's next for them, helping them discover their blind spots and then achieve whatever goal they've set for themselves. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And who doesn't need that? I think we all, I'm such a believer in coaching, and especially after, I've always believed in mentorship, and I've always been like, I would always seek out mentors since I was in high school. That was kind of my first experience of having a really strong mentor. Actually, that's not true. I had somebody younger, but like really at high school, I really identified like having a mentor makes such a difference. And then when I started my own business, one of the first things I did was hire a coach, and people were like, you're just starting. Like how, why are you hiring this coach? And I was like, because they know how to do something I don't know how to do, and they can see blind spots that I cannot see. And it has just always paid for itself for me. So I love coaching, and I love investing in somebody who can really help dig in and uncover those blind spots. So I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. And what was is there a special, was there an industry that you have a background in your corporate? What was that?
Yeah, I worked with credit unions and banks.
Yeah. Okay. So I would suspect there are a lot of women, even just in that financial industry, that could benefit from your expertise of how to excel in that kind of environment, right?
Yeah, I like what you said about like working with a coach. So one of the things that we did in the coaching program was that we peer coached each other, and then we've reached out. Most coaches have a coach, which is really funny. But when you think about it, I think the best analogy was someone said, before you have a coach, it's like you're staring at your feet. And you could be in the Grand Canyon, you could be anywhere in the world, but you wouldn't know it unless a coach helps you look around. And I thought that was so funny. But then in working with my own coach, I was staring at my feet. I thought there was a problem, and I kept staring at it and staring at it. And then when she said, what if it's not a problem? What if it's part of the solution? And then I was able to look around, and I was like, oh my gosh, how eye-opening.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's amazing. And I'm super excited. You said you're almost through your certification program. Probably by the time this airs, you might be through it, because we go a few weeks out. That's so exciting. So tell me, how can I be of service to you today? What is something that we can work on as you are growing your business that's going to really impact you? What do you need some support on?
What is like the easiest or most seamless way to extend an offer for someone to work with you? Because part of the reason I joined the Sales Maven Society was I really like your approach. It feels authentic. It feels like you have some confidence behind your selling, and then the rest of it just kind of flows. So I'm wondering what piece I might be missing to start like extending those offers.
Well, the first and foremost is to have an offer, because sometimes, when we're first starting out, we get a little bit like, I'm not really sure what to offer. You need a concrete offer. You need something for somebody to be able to say yes or no to. I like if you have kind of 3 ways to work with you, because then it's not just a yes or no, like, yes, I want this one thing, or no, I don't. It's like, here's some choices so you could pick which one. So you could have a longer term coaching program. You could offer a strategy session with you, or maybe you have a course or something, right? Because you have an extensive background in training too. So you could be teaching something there, right? So now you've kind of got the possibly three options. So do you already have those in mind of what your offers are, or an offer?
So I would do a coaching package, which is at least 3 months long.
Yes.
Would be one of the options. I am looking into starting like a group coaching program, because I know you can offer that at a lower cost and you might have more people enter it versus the one-on-one coaching. And then the third option, I'm not entirely sure yet.
Okay. So it's okay to not know. And as your business grows, you'll test some things out and you'll see what works and what doesn't work. I like to have, I think because of your background, I would encourage you to think about putting together not simple in like that it's rudimentary or anything like that, but something that would be kind of an easy yes for people to kind of dip their toe in the water with you. And that could be in the form of some type of a like program or some type of a training is where I'm going with this. So if you could put together some type of a training that lets people kind of get exposed to you, teach what you know is like, I always say, like, teach your juiciest stuff and make it a really easy yes. And so when I say an easy yes, I mean a really aggressive price. Yeah. And then you've got something to reach out and offer people. And if they're like, I'm not really into trainings, well, we've got some private coaching opportunity here as well. So think about having at least kind of 2 offers. I love the idea of a group coaching program because, like you said, you can get multiple people in it. It's a little bit of an advantage for them as far as a price standpoint goes. The little bit of hesitation that I have, and I don't know this about you, so you're going to have to tell me, is if you don't have a lot of people that are ready to work with you, it's hard to fill a group coaching program. Yeah. Like, it takes some work to fill a group coaching program. I think sometimes you're better off doing an individual coaching program, or even doing a intensive type where maybe it's a deep dive, 50-minute strategy or 45-minute strategy session with you, or even like a 90-minute strategy session with you where you work on like one thing and coaching somebody through, a challenge that they're facing, or helping them attain a goal, or something around what it is that they're, looking to accomplish. I think that is kind of, again, it's kind of that entry level. So I don't want to entry level in that. I don't mean like the lowest price possible, because there does need to be a premium to have access to you, because even though you're relatively new in your business, you are not new. right? You come with 12 years of experience in the background and in corporate. I also think there's a huge, I just think people who come from a corporate background come with a different skill set, good and bad, right? Like people who've never been in corporate, they don't maybe have some of the bad habits that those of us who come from corporate have. But those of us who've been in corporate, I feel like have a different understanding of how to sell into that market, because we understand the decision makers, we understand how things go up the chain of command, how you have to create advocates, and, you have to give them the information so they can sell to the boss. And then, because you're probably never going to get the boss on the phone with you, right? So I just think people that have a corporate background do show up with an advantage. And you do have that. You have 12 years of corporate background that gives you an advantage. I think sometimes with corporate background, one of the advantages, I think those of us who come from corporate, by the way, if you're a listener and you're like, I totally disagree, Nikki, totally happy for you to disagree. This is just my opinion. But I think we also kind of understand I'm trying to think of how to say this so it doesn't sound like super bratty. I think we kind of understand the limitations of people and what it's like to not always get to pick your coworkers, and also how you have to figure out a way to work in an environment that isn't always your ideal environment. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is I get to pick and choose my clients to a point, right? Like I get to decide whether or not I take a client on. And in corporate, you don't have that luxury. And so I think you start to understand that when somebody shows up with a problem or a challenge with a coworker, you can't just say to them, well, just sit down and have a conversation and tell the person to change, because that doesn't work.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the areas that I'm passionate about. It's one of the trainings that I currently do is conflict resolution.
Yes.
And I talk about relationships are about give and take. And then, if you're going to offer someone constructive feedback, I think you mentioned it today in your bonus training, hey, are you open to some feedback? And then how do you structure that so that it can be well received?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, would be a good topic for you to put together a training. Yeah. And this could be something that you could sell, right? Like play with it a little bit. You could teach it live and, invite some people to it and then record it and then repurpose it and sell it.
Yeah,
or you teach it live. I would say I like to teach my trainings live just to kind of test the waters to see people's responses. You got to go through I did a bonus training this morning in the Sales Maven Society, and I'd never taught the training before. So I love to teach them live, because then I get to see like what mistake did I make, or where did I say something that people are like, what? Or what were the pieces where people are like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because then you want to amplify those when you record the training, right? Make them like boost them, the good stuff, minimize the not perfect stuff. So you could teach a live conflict resolution or how to work with a challenging coworker, anything like that. I think people would be totally on board with. And then it leads people to that next step of some private coaching with you.
Yeah.
So that would be a suggestion. You could think about putting this together. You probably could put it together pretty quickly. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I have the conflict resolution stuff put together. And I've done that. I've worked with a couple nonprofits recently, and I worked with one company recently too. And I think I could get a copy of one of those recordings.
Well, even if you don't have you've got the content, what the content is, you just record it on Zoom. I always say break it into small bite-sized videos, right? So if it's an hour-long training, break it into five pieces, 5 videos. And now it's this like virtual training that people can go through, and you've got something to sell. Yeah. And so now you've got the offer. Okay. So back to kind of your original question, because now I'm kind of going all over the place with you, because, there's some places to start here. Like we have to have the offer first and foremost. And then the next thing is you do have a network. You have people who know you, who believe in you, and be reaching out and touching base with people. And there's a training inside the Sales Maven Society called Authentic Sales Conversations. If you haven't been through that one yet, I would recommend that you go through it, because it talks about reaching out to people that are and asking for introductions and connections, reaching out to people who are kind of I call them like-minded clients, the people who are a potentially good fit for you, to see if they have some interest. And so I actually have language and scripting in there for you for that. And that's where I would start for you, is look at your network, the people who know you, and see if they would be interested in coming to either a training, or seeing if, reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, I have this new coaching offer and I'm just wondering if this would be a good fit for you. Here's who it's tailored for. Here's how it would benefit you. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? Now, these people might not be prepared to get this offer because they haven't actually expressed any interest yet. But that's okay, because you've got some rapport with them. I'm not suggesting that you reach out to people who are like, who is Sam? Like, I don't know who Sam is, right? Like, reach out to people who you think are a potential good fit, and just ask the question and make the offer and see if they say yes. Now, the other way to kind of build some know, like, and trust factor in your industry is to offer ways for people to get a taste of your work. So that could be through speaking, that could be through podcast guesting, that could be through putting on your own kind of virtual trainings and having some kind of free piece, right? Like, you actually could put together your, this how to work with whatever I said, like a difficult coworker or whatever.
Challenging teammate. Yep.
Challenging teammate, right? So if you have this as content, pick one piece of that content and offer it as a free training. And then talk about, when you're teaching it, you're going to be planting seeds. Like, now and you're going to pre-frame at the beginning. You're going to say, now I'm going to teach you one piece of a full course today. Now, those of you who are going to want the full course at the end, I have a special offer for you. So know it's coming. But what you're going to get today is absolutely going to help you. Here's what we're going to focus on. Let's get started. Then you teach it as a free, and give like the juiciest piece away. That's my advice. It doesn't have to be all of it. It's just one piece of it. Like something that's like, people are going to go like, oh, wow, that's awesome. And I want all the other stuff too. So do that. And then you make an offer at the end. So you pre-framed that an offer is going to come. You get to the end of the webinar, and you do that before Q&A, by the way. So you wrap up, here's what we talked about. Now, get ready, get your questions ready. I want to hear from you. Before we do that, I mentioned there's a special offer of how to get the full training. Here it is. Or you could even offer at the end how to do coaching with you. You could offer a coaching package, and you just kind of play with that. There's a couple of reasons why I like for people to give away some content at the get-go, like a piece of content. In my trainings, I call this just one thing. So actually, one of my clients named it Nikki's Just One Thing. So she calls it Nikki's Jot. And you just give away one piece, and you give it away to a group. So you're not giving it away to an individual person. You're giving it away to a group. It gets people like that taste of you, and then they're going to want more. And then you have to tell them how to get more. And the other benefit of this is it's a way to list build too, because people have to register, they have to sign up. So now you're starting to build your list as a new business owner, which I do think is absolutely crucial to your business, is to build a list. Are you building a list now?
I started one, yes.
Okay. So that's another advantage of having like a free event. Is it's an opportunity for you to start to build your list. And you can do this event, like teach it once, see how you like it. If you like it and it goes over well, and especially if it converts into clients, then you just teach it again. You offer it at another time, and you promote it out to the people who know you. Yep. And ask them if they'd be willing to share about this event, and invite anybody they know that would benefit from it. And then you have a registration page. They come, they register. You've got an offer at the end. This is a way to kind of get yourself started. Now tell me what questions come to mind.
Yeah. The first question, how much lead time do you give? like between having the event and announcing it? What's the sweet spot?
Like promoting the event and actually having it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I never give myself more than a month. And I find that most people don't sign up until like, they really don't start signing up until the last 2 weeks. So you might give yourself a month just to like prep for the first time, but realistically, you're going to do a lot of promotion in the last 2 weeks. And even in the last week, like one of the things we found, because I teach a free training, I do it almost every month, and it's the same training every month, and it goes out to my list. It's in my newsletter. People can sign up. So sometimes people will sign up because they'll see like, oh, Nikki's teaching this in 3 weeks because it's in the newsletter. But most people sign up in the last like 2 weeks, and most, like the majority, come in the last week. But the day of, I send out an email to my whole list and I say, hey, will you be joining us? There's still time to register. And we get a ton of signups on that last day, like within the last 2 hours before I'm going to go live, because people wait till the last minute to do things. So don't be afraid to promote it even on the last day, to be like, hey, do you want to join? If you haven't signed up yet, here's how to do it. Make it really easy. I just think we're all so busy and so bombarded. And some people are like, I can't commit to something 3 weeks out because who knows if the world will still be standing, right? Like, so give yourself 2 weeks to really promote the heck out of it, and know that a lot of your signups are going to come in the last couple days. What else?
Other question. How much content do you have? So you said like one thing. How much time do you spend teaching that one thing? How much time is allotted for questions?
Now you could break that one thing down into a couple different things, right? So sometimes you can break down a piece of content. I actually am teaching this as a masterclass, and I teach it every December. It's called Content Creation for Revenue Generation. And I teach in there how you actually take one piece of content and you break it down into all these other pieces. So you could take one piece of that training and then break it down into other pieces. Let's say you take one piece and you break it down into like between 3 and 5 like tips. Okay. And then as far as the length of time, I think if somebody's going to sign up for a training, they really only want no more than about 30 minutes of content, but realistically, you could probably teach it in 20 to 25 and they'd be happy. Now, I do my training. It's an hour-long training, and I can teach the content. I've been teaching it for a while. Now, I do some stuff at the beginning. I do some stuff kind of in the middle, and I do some stuff at the end before I open it up to Q&A. And it takes about 35 minutes for me to go through it. I tell a lot of story because I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories. I think it helps kind of deepen the connection between the content. So think about each piece of that content, whatever you're going to teach. If you broke it into 3 to 5 sections, you probably want to have between 2 and 4 stories, like almost one story per section that brings the content to life. That's going to, it's going to make a more robust training. It's going to eat up some time. And so you don't feel like you have to just like give one piece of content. It's like, well, here's the tip. The tip is 1 sentence. Okay, we're done, right? You can take 1 sentence and really boost it, give it time to kind of like unfold. It's like a flower, right? Let it unfold. You can also do some audience participation. That also is a great way for people to feel engaged, and it also eats up time. If you're worried about like, are they going to feel like they didn't get enough value of it? If you do some audience participation, now it needs to be real audience participation, I think. And what I mean by that is not just like, raise your hand if you agree. No, it'd be like, type in the chat box, or, let's hear from 2 people. Have you ever had this experience? And what happened, right? Or, how many of you, have had 3 interactions with a coworker that you wish, why do I have to work with this person, right? Like give them some call, like some way to engage and participate. And then you can actually be like reading the comments. Oh, so-and-so said, Sally says, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Sally, that reminds me of a story of a client that I had who blah, blah, blah. Now you're like, you're making it engaging for them, and it feels really personal too. Anything
Yeah,
else?
that sounds good. When I booked like an hour, so I did that one time. I booked like a conflict resolution 101, but I like self-sabotaged totally. So I like did it like 3 days before, and then like no one signed up, and then I just canceled it the day of. So like I had that in mind, but I think it's stepping out of that corporate world mentality where I had a secure classroom. I knew the people that were in the room. This is a totally different ball game.
Yeah. And remember, nowadays, like we're teaching over virtually. So you're teaching it over Zoom. And if nobody signs up, you just don't teach it. And it's not a huge deal. Yeah. Now, it can mess with your mindset a little bit because then you're like, nobody's interested. But when you're first starting out, like realistically, I have taught my workshop, the training that I do, I've had up to, I think the most we've ever had was close to 200 people register, and I think the most we've ever had on a call was 60. But I have also had 60 people register and have 3 people show up live. And I just teach it like realistically in these moments, there's a little bit like sometimes I get frustrated and I go, why am I doing this? But the 3 people took time out of their day. So I'm going to give them the best version of myself that I can. And I'm going to act like I'm delivering it to, the most interested people, the people who really came, who needed this content in this moment. Because I actually do some mantra stuff before, because I'm really careful about protecting my sales mindset. So I do some mantra stuff before I get on a call, before I teach something live. I always do this little prayer where I say, please let me touch the hearts and the minds of the person who, or the people who most need this content today. So if only 3 out of 60 people show up, then I just figure maybe one of them just really needs to hear this message today. And so I have to deliver it for that person.
Yeah.
So don't get so up in your head about it. And the last time that happened to me, I really was like, when I got off the call, I was like, dang it. We work so hard. I spend so much money on ads and we get all these people registered and then they don't come, like, dang it. But here's what I do is I do a bunch of emails before to invite people. I send out an offer immediately after an email, and then I send another email that reminds them that the offer is going away. And the last time I did it, when I had this really poor turnout, I actually I closed just as much business as I closed on the last time I did it before, where there were like 30 people on the webinar. So then that's where you have to go like, revenue wise, it was just as profitable. Mindset wise, I was like, nobody wants this content. Right. Yeah. But that's not true.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
I also record it and I send out a recorder I send out the recorded access to the recording for people who can't make it live, because I figured they've shown some interest. And people do watch the recordings, which sometimes I always think like, maybe nobody's going to watch it. But I always know they watch the recording if there's something that happens. Like someone will send me a message like, your audio cut out at, minute 35. And I'm like, they made it all the way to minute 35. Yes. Bummer about the audio, but yes, that they made it that far. So don't get discouraged is kind of the message here. Like, be willing to put yourself out there. And if nobody shows up, it's okay. Just push it back and do it. Like, give it a couple more weeks, promote it. That's okay. Or just record it yourself live, go and do it.
Yeah.
And record it. And then now you've got this recording and you can repurpose it. Okay. All right, my friend, it's really about just getting started. Put yourself out there, come up with a topic. If you like the idea of doing the training, and if you don't like the idea of doing the training, then go through that training I talked about, Authentic Sales Conversations, get some clarity on how to reach out. The scripts that are in there will get you started on how to complete your own scripts so that you can start doing these reach outs. Because right now it is about making connections and really expanding and nurturing your network. I feel like I'm stealing that from Tracy Warren. She always says, nurture your network. And she's so brilliant at it. She's in our group. I don't know if you've met Tracy yet, but Yeah. So she always talks about nurturing your network, and you've got to nurture your network, because as a new business owner, it's your network that's going to help you really grow your business. They'll bring you opportunities. They'll get you in front of the right people. They'll introduce you to people. It's just so important that you nurture your network. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what do you think you're going to do first? I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that, but now that we're talking about it, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think it would be really easy to break down the conflict resolution training into different modules. And I think I have a different perspective on it too, being from like a training HR background. I think people would expect to hear one thing from me, and I don't think that's what they would hear.
Knock their socks off. I love that.
Yeah. So I think that would be like an easy way to start, is to break it down, to do these trainings and not launch it 3 days before or announce it 3 days before, like actually do it. So yeah, I think that's definitely something easy I can do that relies on my background.
Well, I'm excited for you. All right. So as we wrap up today, the episode, I always like to ask 2 questions. The first one is, what has been one benefit you've received as being a part of the Sales Maven Society so far?
I think the sense of community, knowing that there's a lot of other driven people that are in the group, and you can pop any question into the Facebook group and people respond fairly quickly. And the quality of responses are really high too. I think I had been in the group maybe 2 days, and I had something come up where I had to reschedule with the training. And I just love how people were so positive and just responded right away. I felt like it was a silly question, and that was not the type of response that I got.
It's a great group. I know. And we're so happy to have you in the group, and we love questions, and it is a responsive group. I feel so honored that a lot of times people say like Nikki and the group, because everybody wants to know like, what else will people say? Not just Nikki. So I love that too, because it's such a wealth of knowledge in there. There's so many people from so many different backgrounds and trainings, and just like even today on the training, at the end of the training, I don't know if you were there, and people were talking about, they were giving like resources for books. Like, hey, this the training you just gave reminded me of this book that so-and-so, and then somebody else said another book. And I just love that stuff, because it's just such a wealth of knowledge that we have of people in the group. So, all right. So the last question is, there's probably somebody out there who's struggling either to attain a goal or struggling with a coworker. How can people find you? How can people get in touch with you and work with you?
Yeah, the easiest is probably go to authentic-insights.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, but yeah, the website should have everything they need as well.
So authentic-insights.com. Perfect. And Sam's Sam's contact information and her social media links will be in the show notes. So please connect with her. She's quite something. And I didn't ask you if I was going to share this, so we'll see. She might be like, I have to edit this part out if that's the case. But there was something that we asked in the Sales Maven Society, and I think it was in the Sales Maven Society, and your answer was so cute and so like you. Do you know where I'm going with this?
My dream or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody always laughs at this. If I had my way, ultimately, on top of being a life coach, I would also be a country music singer that has a pair of purple cowboy boots. So if that's the image everyone leaves with, that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah. So go look Sam up, because she's darling to look at. And I could totally see her as a country music star with her purple boots. I love it, love it, love it so much. Okay. Thank you so much for being on the show. Now for you, the listener, if you are ready to ignite your own sales, if you have some questions, if you're not sure how to put together your offer or what you should be doing first, or how to reach out, or how to have some interaction with a client that's been a concern or a struggle for you, come join the Sales Maven Society. This is where we'll connect. You bring your questions, you bring your situations, your concerns, and I'll provide answers and guidance to boost your confidence in all your sales situations. Plus, there's this amazing community of a wealth of knowledge that you'll be able to tap into. You can join the Sales Maven Society now by going to www.salesmavensociety.com salesmaven.com. And if you enter in this coupon code, it's going to make a big savings on your first month. So normally it's $107 a month. There's no long-term subscription, so you can cancel at any time, but you can test it out for your first month for only $27. So put in coupon code 27trial, all one word, the number 2, the number 7, TRIAL, and you can try it for $27. We love to have podcast listeners in there. And as a matter of fact, we are getting podcast listeners joining the Sales Maven Society weekly. It's an amazing group. So happy for those of you who've already joined. If you haven't joined yet, come check us out. And if we haven't connected yet on social media, let's do that. Let's connect. I hang out on LinkedIn. I hang out on Facebook in the group, in the Sales Maven Society group. And I also am on Instagram, and you can find me there under Your Sales Maven, or you can find me under Nikki Roush. I'd love to hear from you as a listener. Thank you again, Sam, for being here. Thank you for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.